I live in Utah, and I am with Jay tonight. This is my wife, Jay. She's joining me. She's had a long day, so she's sleeping. So I'm excited to be here and answer all of your dog training questions. As you jump on, please give me your name and just a state or country, so that I can enter you into the live drawing. I'll do a drawing about 7. Depending on how many questions we have, I'll try to do it around 7. And then if there's more questions, I'm happy to stay on and answer them. So hopefully we get a good group tonight. We've had some excellent questions the past couple of weeks. So this is really fun for me to do. I look forward to this every week. So hopefully we'll get a group going. It's finally spring, which means mud season. So if you have a dog, which all of you do if you're joining, this is like my least favorite time of the year because of mud season. I cannot keep my floors clean. I can't keep my car clean. I do try. Hey, Aisley, happy St. Patrick's Day. And it's like 1 o'clock in the morning where you are. Just writing your name down. So, yes, I after mud season every year, I have to clean my carpets, clean my car, clean everything. It's crazy. So Aislinn, I'm just curious, how do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Ireland? You guys probably celebrate it so much more fun than we do. Hi, Destiny. North Carolina. So I am a musician part-time. And one year for St. Patrick's Day, one of our musicians had a dinner at his house. And I have to admit, I do not like cabbage. Like, I cannot eat cabbage. I can't smell cabbage. And so they made cabbage, and there's something else that always goes with the cabbage. I couldn't do it. So I kind of lied and said that I'm on a special diet, which isn't really a lie because I'm usually on some kind of weird diet, and so I brought my own food. And that's how I got out of eating cabbage. But I know it's like a thing for St. Patrick's Day. I just can't do it. Okay, so let me write some names down. Matthew. Hi, Matthew. Oh, we have another guy. Matthew, we hardly ever get any men on this group. We have one other one that usually jumps on, and hopefully he'll be on tonight, but you're like the second guy that's been on for a while. So we always joke that it must be the women that train the dogs, because it's usually women on this group, but I'm always happy to have guys. Oh, bummer. So there's no celebration, level 5 lockdown due to COVID. Oh my gosh, that is so sad. So, hey Anita, I'm writing you down as well. So if I was in Ireland, my favorite thing would be to do, and I don't even drink, but I would love to go to the pubs and listen to authentic Irish music, because I love Irish music. So I would be going every place I could just to hear live music. So, yep, no visiting family or friends either. Oh, that's such a bummer. Hey, Julie. So I have a friend that lives in Rhode Island, and she is in the pit bull rescue, as am I, and I really wanted to go see her. Julie from New York. And she does a pit bull specific class, and she was just advertising her next one. And I'm like, oh, I want to come. And she goes, I want you to come. But they do a mandatory, oh, what's it called? The name just placed me, where you have to stay there for like 2 weeks. Quarantine. So they have mandatory quarantine. So I cannot even fly to see her for like 4 days. I have to be there for 2 weeks. So yeah, that's not going to happen because I have animals to take care of and job and everything else. So yes, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I'm super bummed. Aisling is from Ireland and she couldn't even celebrate St. Patrick's Day because of they're on level 5 lockdown. So that's sad. I'm so sorry. Somebody actually tried to pinch me today because they thought I am not wearing green, but I have a uniform that I wear pretty much every day when I go to people's houses, and it's stuff that I don't care if it gets snagged or torn or peed on or whatever, but I do have jewelry on that has green in it. So I pinched her back harder than she pinched me, and she pinched me hard. Um, oh, so I need a year isolating too. Yeah. It's getting a little bit more lax now in Utah. We can go back to, we're back to church. You can go or you can do Zoom. You can do virtual if you want. And I've heard this morning that some places are letting or opening their doors as far as like restaurants and places where they have live music, because I used to play. My friend and I hosted an open mic 2 Fridays a month for just musicians, and it was so much fun. And people would come and have dinner, and we'd have a different musician every 20 minutes, and we haven't been able to do that for a year. So we just heard that they are opening again, but people have to sit 6 feet apart. So hopefully that's going to mean that we get to start playing again. Right now, we're just playing in my friend's garage for fun. Like, that's the only place we're playing. So, yeah, things are getting back a little bit in Utah, but there are still places where you have to wear a mask. I was in T-Mobile today, and a guy walked in, and the people are like, oh, sir, do you have a mask? And he did, but they wouldn't even let anybody in without a mask. So, yeah. I would like to go like anywhere right now, just that I don't have to be quarantined. Um, oh, so you do Passover, yeah, and you can only have one family member. You usually have about 20. Um, yeah, that would be. I have to be honest. There's one side of my family that I kind of don't care for a lot of my cousins, so the fact that we would have to limit family members for things would not hurt my feelings at all. But yeah. Okay, so this is a good question because I get asked this all the time. Aislinn is asking about getting her poodle used to other dogs within your 5 kilometer limit. Um, People are so afraid of the virus that they even get their dogs to avoid you on walks, so he's getting very little interaction. Yes, that's a great question. So um, I did read somewhere that dogs can, I mean, not very many dogs have gotten it, but they can, and they can carry the virus on their fur. And so then if people pet your dog and then like rub their face, they can actually get it. I haven't heard of that happening a ton, but I've heard that it is possible. Um, but one thing that you can do for now is when you go for a walk, if you see another dog, then treat your dog. So it's like, oh, look, there's a dog, treat. I'm like, look, there's a dog, treat. So even just seeing the dog from a distance and pairing that with high value treats can can make that positive association. One thing that I'm doing in puppy class now, I am having puppy classes, but I limit it to 4 or 5. We're not doing a free-for-all playtime anymore, just because it can be scary for smaller dogs, and some dogs are more shy. So I'm actually showing people like how to greet other dogs with their dog, and then I'm pairing up dogs based on energy level and size. So I'll take 2 smaller ones. They'll kind of greet each other, and then if they act like they want to play, then we unclip the leashes and let them play. Oh, I'm going to plug my computer in. And so then if that's going well, I'll add in a 3rd dog, let them play for a minute, and then we end, and then I take two new dogs. So if you know somebody that has a dog about your dog's age and size and energy level, you can ask. This is what I'm doing with private clients, is I'm trying to set up like puppy play dates with different clients. And I just pretty much say, like, you have a dog that's about the same age as this dog. How would you guys feel about getting together and doing a play date? Most of the people now are getting the vaccine, and so they are vaccinated, and so they feel okay, like getting together. And your dog really doesn't need to meet 100 dogs to become socialized. Really, they just have to learn how to greet dogs, play nicely. So even if you can do a play date with somebody, we have these Facebook groups like Ask Park City or Ask Camas Valley, where I live. If you have that in your area, you can say, like, I have a 1-year-old poodle, but I'm just looking for a little socialization. Would anybody like to get their dog together for a play date? We can wear masks. So I think as long as you're wearing masks, and you're staying far apart, your dog is going to be on a 6-foot leash, and then you can let them meet, and then if everything goes well and you see a play bow where they act like they want to play, then I usually drop 1 leash, and then see how it goes, and then unclip both leashes. So that would be my best suggestion. But if you can't find anybody to actually do play dates with, then I would just have your dog, like, go sit in a parking lot at a vet clinic. And every time a dog gets out of the car, or you see a dog come out, pair it with treats, so that all your dog has to do is, like, see another dog and mix that association, like, oh, I like it when I see other dogs because I get treats. So that may be what you have to do right now, until you can kind of get in with people. I guess we're lucky. I mean, people aren't so paranoid here about it. There's a couple of clients' dogs that I walk several times a week, and we actually pass by other dogs, and that's why we're walking them, because they're reactive dogs. And so we're learning kind of how to walk by other dogs. And I mean, we go by a dog park. We don't go in the dog park, obviously, but we go by the dog park, and there's people in there. And if people are outside, a lot of people outside don't wear masks. They think, oh, we're outside, we're fine. So I think it's a little bit more lax here. Yeah, that would be my suggestion. See if you can find somebody that's willing to do a play date, and if not, just pair it with treats. Okay, Anita, you haven't seen your daughter for over a year. Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. Yeah, my brother lives in Virginia. I haven't seen him for a couple of years. My mom lives an hour from me, so I do see her. Okay, Flo, if we whoop our dog and want to stop to build a better relationship, how do we do so? Are you talking about, like, you spank your dog or beat your dog? I mean, anything that you do that is going to cause fear, intimidation, or pain is going to deteriorate the relationship that you have with your dog. So with science-based training, we don't want to do any aversive. So an aversive is anything that causes fear, pain, or intimidation. So definitely spanking, yelling at your dog, anything like that. In fact, I was listening to a podcast today. If you have a chance, Suzanne Clovier, I'll type her name in here. She's written several books, and it's all about relationship-centered training, and it's all about um, building a relationship with your dog. And one of them is working on, like, you have to build a bond, and you can't build a bond if you're like, spanking, hitting, yelling at your dog. That's just going to make your dog scared of you, shut down, and all of those things are going to make for not a very good relationship. So the first thing I would do is stop spanking, stop like yelling, anything that's aversive to the dog. You want to stop doing that because it's not healthy for the dog. The other thing too that people don't realize, and I know old school, when I was growing up, my mom used to like spank our dog with the newspaper. But if a dog doesn't understand what a cue is, so like let's say that let's say that you tell your dog to come, but your dog doesn't really know what come is because you haven't taught it yet. Then if you get mad at your dog for not coming, that's just plain, like, that's cruel because you're punishing your dog for doing something that they don't really understand. Okay? So that would be like if I gave you, like an advanced calculus problem, and then I whipped you because you didn't get the answer right. And you're like, but I don't even know how to do calculus. So it's kind of the same thing. It's not good to punish a dog for something that they don't understand. So if your dog is doing something that you don't like, the best thing to do is then teach your dog what you want them to do instead. So I'll use an easy example, like jumping up, okay? So my dog Jade jumps up because everybody thinks she's so adorable, which she is, but they don't mind if she jumps, and they want to say hi and everything like that. So, but I don't want her to jump up. Okay, old school would be, okay, knee a dog in the chest for jumping. Well, what that does is it makes the dog afraid of humans, because it's like, oh, every time I go up to say, and dogs just jump for attention. So in the dog's mind, if they go up to say hi and they get kneed in the chest, and they're like, oh, maybe I don't like people because they hurt me. So instead, like, I'm teaching Jade to sit and wait for greetings, and that's what I want her to do now, to greet. So when you say that if your dog's beyond stubborn, dogs actually do not know. They have emotions, but they don't have a stubborn emotion. If you think that your dog is stubborn, or if a dog acts like they're stubborn, it's either because they don't understand what you're asking them to do, or it's not reinforcing enough. So let's say that I let Jade out to go, like, sniff over where all the dogs pee. If I call her to come, she's probably not going to do it, because right at that moment, number one, she doesn't have a solid recall yet. We're still working on it. And now I'm competing with smells of other dogs, and other dogs go potty there, and there's so many distractions that whatever I have is probably not reinforcing enough for her to come to me. So what I do now is I put her on a long line, on a leash, and we go out and practice. So she'll be sniffing, and I'll say, Jade, see what I mean? I'm not going to say it because she's right here. And then if she's sniffing and not paying attention, then I'll start to like reel her in gently. Like I don't yank her, but I'll start to reel her in. And as soon as she starts to come to me, I click treat and I use a high value treat. And then I say, okay, go sniff. So in her mind, it's like, oh, I come to mom, I get a treat, and then she lets me go sniff again. So coming to you always has to be rewarding. So if your dog is looking at you like you're crazy, sometimes you have to back up a step and maybe start with an easier step. Also, remember that dogs don't generalize. So if you teach something like in your living room, you need to practice that in other rooms in your house or outside or at the park. Um, and the more distractions you add, the harder it is. So think about in your living room is going to be like preschool. And then if you go out in the backyard, that's maybe elementary school. Front yard is maybe middle school. If you go to Petco, that is like college. So you can't expect your dog to behave on a college level if they're still in preschool. So that's what I'm working on with Jade right now. Like she knows all the commands, and she knows all the cues. Now we're just practicing in different environments. But every time we go to a new environment, I start over as if she didn't know it, and I use the treat lure, and she does get it quicker every time. She's like, oh yeah, I remember that. But when she goes into a new spot, it's like, oh my gosh, I need to smell, I need to smell everything and look at everything, and she just is like wants to smell everything. So we're working on focus, but I will take high value treats so that when she does pay attention and she does something, then she gets rewarded for it. It's kind of like the dog's paycheck, so to speak. So yeah, it might just be that you need to back up and then start to practice things in different places. And you might have to increase the value of your reward. So if you're asking your dog to like leave it, but you're only giving like a milk bone for a reward, unless your dog really loves milk bones, your dog's going to be like, you only got milk bone. I'm going to go over here and eat deer poop or something. So sometimes you have to increase the value of your reward. So again, if a dog seems like they're stubborn, um, it could just be that it's either not rewarding enough or they don't understand what you want. So like we practice in grocery stores, and Jade knows sit. I mean, she's my demo dog for puppy and adult classes, so she knows it. But then we go to a grocery store, and if I say sit, she'll just look at me, and it's like, okay, you know this, but we haven't done it at a grocery store before, so she hasn't generalized it to that. So that's why we go to like 2 or 3 new places every week to try and get her to generalize those behaviors. So I hope that makes sense. Um, if you want to build a good relationship, use positive reinforcement training. If your dog does something that you don't like, then teach them what you want them to do instead, rather than spanking or yelling or something like that, because that's just going to deteriorate your the bond that you have with your dog. And check out some of those Suzanne Clovier books. They're amazing. She's got several, but they're all on relationship-centered training and learning how to communicate with your dog and know what your dog's thinking. Um, One thing that I learned today while I was listening to a podcast is some dogs are visual, some dogs are auditory. So this guy was calling his husky, and the husky like wasn't listening at all, like now. But the trainer realized, okay, it's not that the dog's ignoring you, but go stand to where your dog can see you. Because this dog was more visual. So once the dog could see the owner, it's like, oh, okay, you want me to sit? Sure, I can sit. So um, that's kind of like my dog as well. Like if she's sniffing, she doesn't even know I exist. I have to like get her attention um, or help her a little bit with the leash and show her what I want her to do and then praise her for it. So That was kind of a long answer, but that was a really good question. So thanks for asking that. Okay, Julie, we had a puppy play date with 2 other dogs. One was very high energy boxer and an English Mastiff, low energy, only because he had a puppy class before he came to my house. Dakota preferred the Mastiff. Um, yeah, that's awesome. It's amazing sometimes when we pair dogs up, which dogs are going to do well with other dogs. Um, so so my dogs are, and this is not something that I really taught. It's just kind of their own personality, but my dogs are able to change their play style depending on who they're playing with. So they play really rough with each other, and they can play rough with other high energy dogs. But then when they play with, like right now, I have a 6-pound puppy boarding and training with me, and my dogs that normally play super rough, like play very gently, and they lower their energy level to play with this little dog. And so it's really amazing when you see dogs change their play style to adapt to whoever they're playing with. So that's good. I think I probably prefer the Mastiff too. I mean, I love boxers, but I've always loved Mastiffs, so I probably want to play the Mastiff too. Okay, Veronica, let me write you down. So Veronica, I was talking to a friend of mine about possibly my neighbor selling their house, and when I found out how much they're selling it for, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could probably get more out of my house, and I kind of want to go somewhere like off the grid. I live in a small town, but it's really growing way too fast, and I want to go just smaller. I like remote small towns. And somebody said, well, why don't you go to Montana? And I'm like, oh, I totally would love to go to Montana, but I don't think I could get my mom to go. She doesn't like the cold and the snow. So we're kind of looking at some places in Idaho. But I have to retire first because the place where I want to go has no internet, no phone, no nothing. It's like heaven. Okay. So, okay, so it looks like your dog, is able to learn. If he already knows sit, roll over, down, turn around, shake. Um, yeah, that's great. So maybe just up the value of the treat. And sometimes, so remember too, there's different ways to teach a dog. So one is luring. So luring would be like if I take a treat and put it up above the dog's head and the head goes up and the butt goes down, or luring them down to the ground. Shaping would be like taking something and breaking it down into little teeny pieces. So like if I shape it down, first I'll go like nose to ground, put the treat, nose to ground, put the treat, and then I'll start to slide the treat out and wait for like a paw to move until the dog goes all the way down. The other one is capturing, where you wait for the dog to do it. So today we were trying to teach a service dog to pick something up, and the dog just didn't understand take, and so, or pick up. So I said, well, the next time your dog goes to pick up a toy, be ready to mark it and treat it. And when I say mark it, that's either a clicker or like a yes. So when your dog picks something up, get ready to mark it and then treat. And then the dog will be like, oh, okay, I just did something that got me a treat. And then every time they do it, you can treat, and then you can eventually put it on cue. Okay. Richard, my dog, Nick Gurr, has been stealing fried chicken from the table. How do I punish him? Okay. So you're not going to like my answer, but the first thing that you want to do is not leave fried chicken on the table. So when you have a dog that steals food, the first thing you always want to do is environmental management. So that can be like doing place work with your dog. So doing mat work, like go to your mat while we're eating, or put your dog in a crate, and then not leaving food out on the table where the dogs can get it. Because dogs are opportunists, and they are natural foragers and scavengers. So if there is food left on the counter, they are going to get it. So it's kind of up to us to manage the environment so that the dogs can't get at anything. And then if you are cooking or you are, if you do have food out on the counter, give the dog something else to do. So stuffed Kong, put them on their mat, put them in a crate, give them a lick mat, stuffed Kong, bully stick, something else to do while you have food out, and then make sure that you clean everything up, because dogs will do what works for them. And so if the dog jumps on the counter and gets food, he's going to keep doing it. But if every time he jumps on the counter, he never gets anything, then he's going to stop. It'd be like if you continue to put your money in a pop machine and you never get any pop out of it, you're going to stop putting your money in that machine. So it's the same thing with dogs. So you just want to make sure that it doesn't get reinforced. Okay, well, I'm sorry if Michael Vick is your idol. I do not believe in letting dogs fight it out. So, yeah, sorry. I don't agree with that. And I just blocked that user. So, yeah, I think that was somebody that just, like, somehow got on. Those aren't even good questions. So, okay. By the way, I had one of the Michael Vick dogs, and so his question is like so inappropriate. That's why I blocked him. If you guys can read that, I want to take after my idol, but don't want jail time. What should I do? Like, dude, come to my house. I will take care of you. Okay, Julie, is there a same trainer like you out in New York, Long Island? Yeah, so I'm going to give you 2 sites, and what you can do is go to one of these 2 sites, and what you can do is put in your zip code, and it'll give you all of the science-based trainers that have like the same certifications or more that I have, and it'll tell you who's within 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles. I'm sure in Long Island that there are going to be science-based trainers out there. I think there's also a Best Friends. Doesn't Best Friends have an outlet in New York somewhere? I know they do in Los Angeles, and I thought they opened one in New York as well, because I know they do Strut Your Mutt in New York, but they should have science-based trainers. But I would go on IAABC or CCPDT and see if you can find a trainer. If not, another good one is Karen Fryer Academy. You can go to her site and also find any trainer that's like graduated from her academy would be amazing. If you can't find somebody like me, I do virtual training sessions with people, so I have videos on almost everything that I can show you, like what to do, how to do it, send you training plans, stuff like that. So if you can't find a trainer, let me know, and I can try to help you. I have this weird thing right in the middle, so I can't read until somebody else posts and it goes up. All I can see is trainer and she drives me crazy. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I won't let me see the whole thing. Once somebody else posts and it scrolls everybody up, I'll be able to see it. Yeah, if you need another trainer because your trainer drives you crazy, try one of those two sites, and it'll give like their qualifications and things like that, and you can say like who is, like you want somebody 15 miles within where you live or 30 miles or something like that. So, oh, okay, because my sister used to, that should that be used to be a dog trainer, and she drives me crazy. Yeah. So I used to play music with a guy that like he thought he was the world's best dog trainer, but he was one that used aversive. I mean, he was abusing his dogs. So when he would tell his dogs to do something, his dogs would mind him, but you would see them cower because they were afraid of being yelled at or hit or beat. And that is not a way to train a dog. And so he used to tell me like, oh, I have all of the Caesar Milan videos if you want to borrow them. And I'm like, I'm good, thanks. And so he doesn't agree with the way I train, which is kind and increases the bond you have with your dog. Um, he believes he's kind of a control freak, so he wants to like really control his dogs, and then he wonders why his dogs run away and are gone for 2 weeks. But um, yeah, there are some dog trainers. When I work with people out here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we took our dog to so and so," and I just kind of cringe. I'm like, "Yeah, and your dog's probably worse because not saying that your sister is, but depending on what training methods you use, sometimes it can make a dog worse. So especially if you use aversives." Um, Going back to Flo's question too, um, if you use aversives, one of the side effects is aggression, because if if something scary or painful happens to a dog in the presence of a person or in the presence of another dog or in the presence of a child, they associate that. And so they can then like be aggressive. So it's like if I get yelled at in front of a dog, so dogs must be bad because I always get yelled at when I'm around dogs. So that can be a side effect. So, hi Emily. I have this weird message right in the middle of people's questions. I don't know how to get it. I'm afraid to click on it because I'm afraid it'll make it worse. So let me write Emily down. Um, okay, Nicole. What would you suggest if we were interested in doing dog training? I'm currently volunteering with a rescue and working with dogs, so that's how I got started. I wanted a really good dog trainer where we did group classes and we had to drive 5 hours. Okay, so Nicole, remind me, I know you've been on before, remind me where you're from. So the first thing, there's several ways you can go about it. The way that I did it is when I rescued my Michael Vick dog, by court order, I had to work with a science-based trainer, and I really didn't know what that was. So they found one for me, and I started to work with her, and I worked with her for 2 years and learned so much that then I just decided to go into dog training. And so then she mentored me. And there's a couple of trainers that I'm mentoring right now. So, okay, so you're from Oklahoma. I think it's the same person. This weird message is right there again. So you could mentor under another trainer, but if the nearest trainer is 5 hours away, that might not work. You could check out, like, Karen Pryor Academy is awesome, and I know a lot of it you can do virtually, and then you do have to go to a Karen Pryor Academy like twice to pass off stuff. So like the closest one to me is Denver, Colorado. So I would have to, like, if I went through her academy, then I would actually have to go to Denver to pass stuff off. Victoria Stillwell has an academy that I'm pretty sure that most of these are online now. So checking out some of these. In fact, I'll write on. I wrote Karen Pryor, but the Karen Pryor Academy would be a good one. Victoria Stillwell has one. And then, oh yeah, so you're from Oklahoma. The other thing you could do is get on the CCPDT website and start looking at the required reading list. I did not read every book, so but I did read a lot of them. But you can start like reading, like the very first book I read was "Don't Shoot the Dog" by Karen Pryor, and that's where I started. And then I started just going through the reading list, and then I started volunteering in a shelter, and I started working with dogs, walking dogs, getting to know body language, stuff like that. And keep track of your hours, because you ultimately want to get certified through CCPDT or IAABC. Some people do both. I would do CCPDT first, and you have to have like 300 hours or 500 hours, and 75 of those can be working at a vet clinic or a rescue. So if you do go volunteer, keep track of your hours. So yeah, you could start there, start volunteering, get some experience, check out some of those academies and see if they have online. So that's kind of where I would start. And then if you have somebody that could mentor you, that would be awesome. But I don't know. When I posted those IAABC and CCPDT, you can put in your zip code and see where the closest trainer is, and then you could ask them, if they would be willing to mentor you, if you didn't want to do school or do an academy. So, and I'm sure there's other academies as well, and they're just like slipping my mind right now. But yeah, I would start there, and let me know if you need any help. I can recommend some really good books for you to start reading. Most of them are available through Kindle. Don't Shoot the Dog is not. You have to just get the paperback, but it's really cheap. It's not very, it's not expensive. So, Cindy, oh, did I write you? Okay, Cindy, I still need to write you down. And you found me online. You can always reach me through tracy@pester.com. Or my company name is Three Little Pits, so you can go to threelittlepits.com, and there's my website. There's not a ton of stuff there, just basically about classes and privates. But yeah, you can find me on there. And then I'm on Facebook as just my name, and then I have a Three Little Pits Facebook page, and I also have my big dog, Hallie and Friends. It's where a lot of my dog stuff is. I don't post on there. I don't post on there a ton anymore, but just because most of the dogs have passed away. But yeah, you can find me on there too. Okay, so Joey only has one problem I'm trying to correct. When on leash, she wants to eat leaves and or everything. So the dog I was working with today, same problem. Wanted to eat leaves. So we went outside and we started doing leave it. So I started with a treat and did the leave it. And then I would pick up a leaf and put it in my hand and say leave it. And then when he would get another treat that's better. And then I practiced like dropping the leaf and saying leave it, but I have the dog on leash so that if the dog goes for the leaf, I can kind of like not yank the dog back, but gently get his focus back on me and then put the treat. And it got to the point where I could throw a leaf, drop it. We also did this with paper towels because the dogs love to eat paper towels. And then he would just leave. He would just look at it and leave it like, okay, no, I'm not supposed to have that. Where's my salmon treat? So just teaching a really good leave it, but when you do it, make sure that the reward is better than what you're asking the dog to leave. So I think I teach this a little bit different than Zach does, so I'm going to show you the trade. So I have two different treats here. And I do use a clicker, so I'm going to use a clicker. So let's say I have a leaf in this hand, and I'm going to say, oh, can you leave it? And then she backs away for the other hand. And then leave it. And then I'm going to open my hand. If she goes for it, I would close my hand. But it's open, she's not going for it. So I'm going to click and then give her a different treat that's better. So in the dog's mind, I want the dog to think, oh, okay, like I really want to get that leaf, but if I leave it alone, I'll get something better. So when you go for walks, it's probably a good idea to take treats. I usually, when I'm out on walks, I usually take salmon treats because they smell more than the other treats, and dogs will pay attention. And it's really high value for my dogs, and so I use the salmon treat to leave it. Okay, Emily, with the hours, do we need to show them? Yeah, so you have to, I just made my own little spreadsheet. If you get on CCPDT, they have a sample log, so you can just use their log and fill it out. So you have to do a date, and I think it has to be within 3 years of when you test. So it's like date, location, dog's name, and what you did. Like if it was resource guarding, general obedience, aggression, reactivity, stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty simple. And it was easier for me. I just kind of looked at their form and then made my own. So, oh, okay. So you're online. Oh, I get it. So you mean like the live. So the live that we're doing now goes through Facebook and YouTube and one other one. So if the sound is muffled, then yeah, try a different platform. So Nicole, you found a trainer in Kansas from those websites, and we'll see about mentoring. Yeah, and I'm happy to give you advice. Like Emily is also interested in dog training, and so I've been helping her as much as I can because we're on like opposite sides of the U.S. But I can, I have people here that come and shadow me, which would be hard for you guys. But I can tell you like what books I read. I started like going to conferences. There's another really good, I'm going to type in a couple. Benzie has some really good webinars. There's another one that I'm on a lot. It's called Raising Canines. And I probably use them the most because they have everything from basic puppy classes. There is one course that she teaches twice a year, and it's right before the test, and it's understanding learning theory. I highly recommend that you take that like right as you're getting ready to take your test. But every month, so like I signed up, and every month she will list which like upcoming seminars, and they have seminars on everything you can imagine, and I've learned a ton from doing that. So that would be also a really good way to get some experience and learn more, is just by watching webinars and doing other stuff. I used to go to seminars, but now with COVID, they're doing most of them online. IAABC has they're calling it the Lemonade Conference now, and it's all virtual. So you can check them out too, and just take. I'm huge on continuing ed, and I'm trying to always learn more and better myself. So once you join CCPDT, once you get certified, you have to have like 30 or 35 hours every 3 years of continuing ed. I probably have like 200. That's how much continuing ed I do. So, but there's always stuff to learn, and they get the best of the best to present. So, yeah, that's another really good way if you're on your own. I know some of my friends didn't go to school; they just kind of mentored under somebody else, or teaching like adult basic behavior, and then starting to learn like how to do reactive dog classes, things like that. So I did have a mentor, but sometimes a lot of it was just kind of on the job training and then working at a shelter. I was very lucky that I have some really good friends that are very good certified behavior consultants. So if I get stuck on something, I can always call them, and they are happy to get back to me and help me with stuff. So, okay, so I'm not sure why the video isn't working, because it says it's working on my end, but it might be the platform you're on. I don't know if sometimes Facebook is worse or YouTube. It looks like you're on Facebook. I'll have to ask the Pupford guys. I'm actually at my office with better equipment usually. When I do this from home, the last few weeks I've been at home, is it easier to understand from home? Because that could be the internet connection here, although the internet is better here than at my house. But if you can understand me better at my house, I can certainly do these from home. So let me know, the past 2 weeks, has it been better than it was here? Because I want to make sure that you guys can understand me. Okay. Okay, so yeah, if your husband walks in at night and doesn't use treats, I would have him start to take treats. Because think of treats as like your dog's paycheck. So it's like if you never got a paycheck, you might not go to work. If you're like, well, why should I go to work if I don't get anything out of it? If I were independently wealthy, I'd probably still train dogs because I enjoy it, but I, would do it because I want to, not because I have to. I may not work as many hours as I'm working right now. So I always, if I'm out with Jade, and if I'm going to be working on things like Leave It and COME, I make sure I have treats with me, because those are the two hardest ones for her when she gets out and wants to sniff everything. So I always make sure I have treats with me, or if I forget, then it's like, okay, then we're just not going to train. We'll just go for a walk. So then I just don't train, or I keep her on leash so that she can't really ignore me and get away with it. Okay, so Julie says it's a little glitchy, but fine. They're in New York, so better at my house. I'm surprised. So here in my office, I actually have actual internet. At my house, I use my phone and a hotspot. So I would have thought it would be worse at home. That's why I try to come here when I can. But if it's better at my house. I can do it at my house. The salmon treats I use are the peppered salmon treats. In fact, that's what I have. So right here, I have the rabbit ones, and these are the salmon. Yep. So this is all I use, are these little salmon pepper treats, and my dogs use them. And yes, I do use a clicker. I'm a huge on. I love clicker training. Some people don't like it, and you don't have to do it. You can use a verbal marker such as yes. But I like using the clicker, and especially if I'm training something like leave it or come, or if we're in a new environment, like if I'm practicing with Jade in a new area, then she's very responsive to the clicker, so I will use the clicker. You don't have to. You can use a verbal marker such as yes. And some people even use they'll say click. See, Jade's on my lap right now. She loves food. Can you say hi to everybody? Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. Say hi. Good luck. Good luck. I'm trying to get her to speak. Usually she will do it. Good luck. Yes. So right there, since I didn't have my clicker on me, I just used yes. Yeah, and if your dog is doing everything really well with the clicker, then you can go to a verbal marker. For the stuff that she does really well, I don't use a clicker all the time. But if we're doing harder stuff, or if I'm training something new, then I will use a clicker. The salmon treats I just get right from Pupford. So Pupford.com, go right to their website, and you can get it right from there. That's where I get them. And I usually order 4 or 5 bags at a time because I go through them quick. Yes, it is hard to walk and click and treat. So when I'm doing like heel, I kind of have it down now where I got leash. So I will usually, this is how I do it. So I put one around my thumb. This is kind of a leash lock, and then this goes around my finger, and then I have a really good grip, just so, if she sees a rabbit and starts to run, it's not going to pull out of my hand. But I will put the clicker on first. Where am I? And I just have this in my hand. And so I have the clicker right in my hand, I have the leash, but then my treat bag is on the other side, so it's over here. So when we do leave it, and as soon as she leaves it, I can click and then give her the treat. But yes, I do know, and especially for people that are just learning how to use the clicker, it is really hard to do leash, clicker, treats. So in those circumstances, just use yes. And I know some people that say click, so they just say click, which I thought was genius when I heard that. So they'll just be walking, they'll say leave it, and then remember with leave it, if you help your dog with the leash, as soon as they turn to look at you, that's when I would say click, and then treat. So, and I would do it at in a different tone of voice that's going to be different than how you would normally say it. So I would do like click, something like that. Some people also like click their tongue. I don't do that because when I'm trying to get her attention, sometimes I'll go, like if she's ignoring me. I'll say her name once, and then if she's ignoring me, I will like click my tongue. So that's why I don't use that. But some people click their tongue as a clicker. You can totally do that as well. They make clickers now that actually go on your finger. I used to have one, and I gave it to a client that needed a clicker, so I'm like, oh, well, just have mine. Karen Pryor Academy, they have ones that go over your finger, and Amazon, they're more expensive. They're like $10. As these that I use are like, I sell these in my classes. They get one free with class, but if you need extras, they're like $2. I think at Petco you can get ones like these for $2. finger ones are more, they're like $10, but you can just put it on your finger. So then, you know, you can still hold your leash and have your clicker right here and just like click it with your thumb. So we're coming out with all sorts of new clicker stuff now. But yeah, you can get the salmon treatment covered. Okay, since it's 7, let's do a drawing. And then if we have any more questions, I'm happy to stay on and answer questions. If not, we can be done and have a good night. I know it's probably like 9 o'clock at night where some of you are, or it's very early in the morning, like for Aislinn, that's in Ireland. Okay, so let me put all these in my little bowl thing. Mix these around. Okay, so tonight's winner is Nicole Robertson from Oklahoma. So congratulations, Nicole. So what you need to do, Nicole, is email hello@pupper.com and let them know what kind of training treats you want. If you want to try, oh, Marion, you just got on. We just did the drawing. But I'm glad you joined us. Marion Phoenix from Utah. So Nicole, email hello@pupper.com. Let them know what kind of treats you want. You could try the salmon if you've never tried them. I will email them as well and let them know that you are the winner. Okay, Julie, should I get a new harness if she's afraid of this one? Which one do you have now? If you have a Freedom harness or a Easy Walk? Yeah, if she's afraid of it, I would get a new one. And what I would do is, Journey harness. I've never heard of the Journey harness. I would maybe try an Easy Walk or a Freedom harness. Now, if your dog sees, oh, you have the same, okay, so you have the Freedom harness. So what you can do, let me show you what, let me take her vest off. I'm going to take her harness off, and I will show you how to get her used to it. She's got all kinds of gear on right now. Okay. So if you have a dog that's afraid of the harness, we want to change our dog's emotional response. So I'm going to start with everything behind my back, and I'm going to show her the harness, and then a treat, and then they both go behind my back. And I'm going to show her harness, and then treat. So the harness, the scary thing, predicts the treat. So harness, treat, and they both go behind my back. And I'm going to keep doing this until she starts to like wag her tail, because the harness, she sees the harness and she knows the treat's coming. So then once you get to that point, then I would start like putting it on your arm and treating. And just have it on your arm. And then you can start, and you'd probably stay at the same spot for a while. Like I'm moving it up rather quick. But then like move it up so it gets closer and closer, and then start to like lower your dog's head through and then let her back out. So lower your head, dog. Lower the dog's head through, back out. Then lower through and just place it on their back. And then while it's on their back, you can keep treating and then take it off. Okay? And so I would just go really slow and then lure them through. If your dog backs out of the harness, let him back out. Let him have the option to say, oh, I don't like that so much. And then just try again. And then I would start to put the size treat for each one. So just take the whole behavior of putting the harness on and break it into little teeny pieces and treat each one. But remember, the scary thing, the harness has to predict the treats. And so it changes the dog's emotional response. Okay. Oh, I saw. Okay. Lexi, any tips or tricks for bringing a new puppy in the home with a 7-month-old puppy as far as training? You are brave to have 2 puppies. I'm just saying. I have a puppy board and train with me right now, and holy cow, it's crazy. So yeah, for the new puppy, give the new puppy like a few days just to acclimate. But you can start things like potty training. Dogs like predictability and they like structure. If they don't have any structure, they'll make up their own. It's kind of like my cousin's little boy. He has no structure, so he just does whatever he wants. When he comes to my house, there's structure, but he actually seems to like it. So it's the same, kids and dogs. So I would let the dog have a couple of days to just settle in, get used to his new environment, but set up a schedule. So it's going to be like, okay, first thing in the morning, we're going to get out of the crate and we're going to go potty. And then I'm going to bring you in and we're going to eat. And then in a half hour, we're going to go out and go potty again. And then we're going to do a 10-minute training session. And then you're going to go in your crate while I work. And things like that. So just set up a schedule. So even when I have a board and train at my house, the first day or two, I don't really do any training. All we do is we crate train, we potty train. So I teach them like this is the door you're going to go to. We get on a schedule, and then I will start to do like the name game and just get them to focus on me, focus on their name, stuff like that. And then if you already have a 7-month-old, they very may well like just get along right from the beginning. If they don't, start doing things like just parallel walks. So just take them for a walk on neutral ground. Let them get used to each other that way. When you do training though, do each dog separate. So whenever I bring a new dog home, like I'll have all my dogs sit and wait for their food. But if there's something I'm working on with Jade, it's really hard to work with her when Maddie and Daphne are right there too. Like, oh, the clicker's out and there's treats, so we want to play too. So I will actually take Jade somewhere else. I'll put the other 2 dogs out, and I'll work with each dog separately before I try to work with them together. Especially if you have a 7-month-old that's probably already got some training, it's going to be easier to separate them. And then once they get it, then you can start doing it together. So that's what I would do. And then, of course, always supervise playtime. Just so if they get too rough, you can give them a timeout. Always kind of manage your environment as far as, now that you're bringing another dog in, there might be things like resource guarding for food or bones or toys or couches. Hopefully not, but whenever there's a new dog coming in, your 7-month-old might be like, oh wait, this is my bed, or these are my toys, or this is my couch. So just like I supervise all the time just to make sure that there's no issues. And when I leave, like right now, Jade is with me, but the puppy that's staying at my house is in a crate. just so there's no issues, I don't have to worry. So yeah, good luck. That's awesome that you're getting a new one. Um, okay, Julie, I do that, and as soon as she sees the harness, she runs away. Yeah, so she might just like, some dogs just don't like the harness. You could go with something like a martingale, um, just a collar, and see if she likes the collar. It's not going to really help with pulling, but Jake's got a martingale. She's got the martingale, so it only tightens enough so that she can't slip out of it, but it doesn't choke. It just goes that far, and then it doesn't choke her. So it keeps it really down. So you might try that. Um, you might try an easy walk. An easy walk doesn't have as many clips and stuff as the Freedom harness, so you might try that. So I'd be interested to know if it's too tight. So there is a dog that I work with, and whenever he sees his harness come out, he starts to run away, even though he knows that it means we're going to go for a walk. It's like a game to him. Like he'll run, he wants us to chase him, and I don't. I just sit down and I start giving his sister treats, and eventually he knows that I'm not going to chase him, and he's not going to get treats unless he comes up to me, and then he comes up to me and I can put the harness on. So sometimes it's like a chasing game, but I don't know why this dog doesn't like it either, because it means we're going to go for a hike. It's a training hike, but we're still going to go for a hike. So, check and make sure it's not too tight, make sure it fits right. You might just try a different kind of harness, like an easy walk, which is still, you can still do a front flip, but it's a little bit, it doesn't have the back clip, so you could try that. One thing that I've been tempted to do with this dog, which I haven't yet, is when he runs away, and like he loves to go for his walks, we go play in the snow, we do no game, is I've said, okay, you don't want your harness, it's okay, we just will go. And I'll walk away. Like I will walk away and get in my car and act like I'm gonna leave. And so he's like, oh, if I don't get my harness on, then we don't get to go for a walk. And so I'll wait like 5 minutes and then I'll come back. And then I can usually get him to come up for treats and then I can put his harness on. So yeah, sometimes, I mean, your dog clearly could not like it. And if that's the case, I would change harnesses and try something else. But if it's a game, just be like, okay, then we're not going to go. And then wait 5 or 10 minutes and then see if you can like capture. The other thing that I will do sometimes with dogs that don't like it is I'll lay the harness down on the ground and then put treats inside, so the dog has to come up to the harness, get the treats out from the middle of the harness. And we'll do that several times, just so they have to come close to it, put their head in it, and I pair it with really good treats. So yeah, if that doesn't work, then I would maybe change harnesses. Oh, good, yeah. Marion's responding to Lexi. Yes, train them separately. And yeah, the other reason that I like to do everything is because of sibling syndrome, which Marion talked about. I recently listened to a podcast where they said that's actually not a real thing. However, I have seen circumstances where dogs bond with each other and then they don't listen to their owners. So I have a client that's got two puppies that are only 6 months apart. Why they did that, I have no idea. But I have them doing separate training sessions, separate walks, separate alone time. So like, let's spend time with this dog while this dog's in the kennel, and then switch. Then let's spend time with this dog while this dog's in the kennel. Because I'll tell you, when I'm there training, the one dog is back behind a baby gate and barking non-stop because he can't stand to be separated from his sister. And then his sister can't concentrate because her brother's barking. So it makes it really hard to even train because these dogs are so used to being together that they can't handle being apart. So that's one of the biggest things I would do is from the very beginning get them used to being without each other. Like they can play, they can sleep together and stuff like that, but I would do parallel walks at first to get them used to each other, make sure you're doing things with each dog separately. So walks, training sessions, things like that. And then you can, kind of go from there because you want the dog to focus on you and not the other dog. Okay, that's what I'm afraid of is it choking her. I mean, even if it's tight, it should be down here. But there shouldn't be anything around her neck. So I don't know what would be choking. Now, if it's fitted too tight, it can chafe, it can rub under their arms. So you want it snug, but you don't want it too tight. So yeah, I would maybe just try a new one. Yes, a choke collar is quite different. The reason that my martingale has the chain is when we're doing service dog training, if she starts to pull a little bit, I just like touch the leash with my finger and it just kind of jingles the chain, and it's just kind of a cue that she needs to like not pull. I've almost thought about changing it because I don't like people thinking that I'm using a choke collar, and it kind of looks and sounds like a choke collar even though it's not. But yeah, it goes just tight enough so that they can't slip out of it, but it does not choke them. Okay. So do we have any more questions? If we don't, we can end. Thank you everybody for coming. You guys asked some really good questions. As I've said before, I try to get on at least 5 or 6 days a week for 20 to 30 minutes and answer questions on Facebook. So you can ask questions there. You can always email me, Tracy, with an I at pupper.com, and I'm happy to answer questions so that you don't have to wait another week. Oh, Cindy, good treat pouch. So I am the treat pouch queen. I buy treat pouches like women buy purses. So this is my favorite one. This is from Doggone Good Clipper Company. But you can buy individual ones. A lot of the ones that they have, you have to buy like, 50, but they do have singles that you can buy. The reason I like this is there's a pocket in the front. There's 2 little side pockets, so I actually, since I do a lot of outside stuff, I have chapstick. And there's a zipper in the back for poop bags or keys or your phone. So I keep poop bags back here. And then I like this because it has a magnetic, I know you can't see this very well, but it has a magnetic closure. So you can just snap it shut. But then there's also another Velcro inside, so you can keep like low and high value treats. So this, and it has the belt clip, but it seems like every time I bend over, this comes off. And I'll type in the name for you. So I like the waist one. I also have, I just gave Cuthbert a bunch of different treat bags. They're actually looking at making some. I like these as well, just because, and this I got on Amazon, but This has the zipper, and this one is kind of deep as well, but oh, this is the one that has the drawstring. There's one kind of like this, but it has a drawstring so that your treats don't fall out. This one does not have the drawstring. Oh yeah, it does, on the side. So you can actually close it and then your treats won't fall out. And then this has pocket in the front and zipper. Honestly, I should be a treat bag tester because I go crazy about treat bags. And the more stuff that I can fit in them, the better, because I don't like to carry a lot of stuff when I'm hiking. In the summer, I do have a pack because I carry water, but since I train so many dogs in a day, I like to just fill a treat pouch and not have to keep filling. So I do like these, but I tend to go more for the magnetic closure because it's easy to open and close. And then when you bend over, all your treats are going to fall out. So this one, you can get at doggone good clicker company. And this is where I buy my clickers too. And I think the name of their website, you can just type that in and it'll come up. You can buy clickers, you can buy treat bags, but just make sure that when you're looking at treat bags, that you don't get the one that says must buy 2 or must buy 4. There is another page where you can buy them singly. And oh, I had that too hard to reach fast. Yeah, I mean, I can, usually when I'm walking and training with the magnetic closure, I'll just leave this open. You know what else works really well? I've got a trainer friend who gets the carpenter aprons from Home Depot, and she wears a carpenter apron as a treat, like bag. And then you've got 2 pockets in front, and you just reach in and grab the treat. So that's what she uses, and they're like $2. So you can try that. There are some smaller treat bags that would be easier to just reach in really quick, but I would be filling them every hour. So I like the ones that hold more. So yeah, you kind of just have to go by personal preference. Like I said, I have a ton of treat bags. But I like all colors and I get different designs, and I have tried a lot of different styles, and I'll probably change back at some point, but right now I really like the magnetic one because it's just easy to open and close. Like that one, I'd have to undo the drawstring, reach in. So that's just personal preference. Yeah, magnetic is really good. Yes, the carpenter aprons you can get at Home Depot. They used to be like $1 or $2, so um, I'm sure they're not that much more. Oh, Cindy, yes, the ones. So if you get one with, I always get the waistband with it because these clips, as nice as it is, and if I bend over, they pop off and they fall off my waist. I cannot keep these on my waist. So this one I like too because it has zippers in the front, zippers in the back, um, pouch for keys or whatever. But whatever treat bag I have, I always get the waist belt. Now with Doggone Good Clicker Company, um, if if you order a treat bag, you have to order the belt separate. So make sure that you get the belt as well. Um, Otherwise, it'll be the thing, or just the treat bag. So I always get the belt, and it's so worth it. And then you can do like I do. I have like different colors, different styles. I had my favorite one, and I left it on the kitchen table. And Maddie, who's on prednisone, got up and ate all the treats out and chewed up my treat bag. So I had to get another one. And while I was on their site, they I got like 3 so that I always have one on hand. Okay, let me. Oh, good night, Aisling. Thank you for joining us. Okay, okay, Cindy, any recommendations to prevent any dogs to lunge at us while walking? So dogs are lunging at you. So if a dog is lunging at you, I will either say like, let's go, and I'll go another way. I'll just take my dog and go another way. Or if the dog's close, I'll take a handful of treats and treat on the dog. And so I throw the treats at the other dog, and I hit them right in the face, because then then they stop and focus on the treats. Um, and then it takes their mind off of lunging after you. It's like, oh, treats. Okay, I'll eat the treats. So, I mean, that's what I do. Is I will treat them, or I will just move away, turn a different direction, go a different way. If it's your dog lunging at another dog, then you want to increase distance. So then I would say, like, let's go, turn and go the other way. And then do the engage, disengage that we usually talk about every week. So look at that and start from a distance, and then slowly get closer, closer, until your dog can like just look at a dog without reacting. Um, Julie, what is a yak chew? Do they have a strong odor? No, my dogs love yak chews. I don't have them here. So Pupford sells them. It's, I don't know exactly what they're made out of, but I mean, they come in different sizes. So they're kind of like, they can come like this long, this thick, and they're kind of yellowish. Um, they're very healthy. It's good for dogs. It's a long-lasting chew. My dogs love them. So when Jade has to do a long settle, I'll usually give her a yak chew. Um, they do not have a strong odor, so they're like, bully sticks can sometimes smell. Um, the what are the ones called that I don't give my dogs? There's some kind of chew that they're not good for your dogs, because your dogs can't digest them. That stink. Yak chews don't smell. My dogs love them, and they last a long time. So you can get those from Amazon. Pupford also sells them. The ones that Pupford sells are really good. They're really good quality. They last a long time. Um, so yeah, they're great. My dogs love them. Okay, so you had two dogs lunge. Yeah, so I would either turn and go the other way, because you don't want your dog to be afraid. Um, so I would either treat on them, and then you turn and go the other way, or just like say, let's go, turn and go the other way. I mean, that's more about managing your own environment. That owner should get help for her dogs that lunge. Um, but another thing you can do is, so we were coming out of a restaurant one time, and there was a guy going in that had supposedly a service dog, and his dog lunged at my dog, and I I just said, oh, Dave, watch me, and she did, and we walked right by, and she wasn't even fazed by the dog. So I just kind of try and redirect them, get her to focus on me. As long as your dog like doesn't engage or lunge back, you could probably just walk by, but I would make sure you have enough distance so the dogs can't get at your dogs. But I would throw treat bombs at them, or just go a different way. Um, oh, so yes, the owner had extended leash. That's why I hate those, and almost attacked. Um, yeah, so I probably would have yelled at the other owner, like, "Are you crazy? If you have dogs that attack and lunge, they shouldn't be on a retractable leash." Um, and yeah, that can be scary. In that case, I would just like turn and go the other way, and tell the owner that they need to get control of their dogs. But I have no problem telling people that. Um, oh, we just got a congratulations. We've received 100 messages today with Ustream chat. So I think that's a record. I've never gotten that before. Oh, so they're made from yak milk turned into cheese. Thank you, Marion. I've never known what it was made from. I just know that my dogs love them. And they can be kind of expensive, um, but they're worth it. They last a long time. Um, so yes, if it happened fast and you pick Joey up, that's good. Like that's what I would do too. Is if I can, is pick your dog up, um, and stay in shop. Yes. Um, and I I mean I try to be somewhat diplomatic just because I usually have my business shirt on. But if I don't, if I just have a regular T-shirt on, I have no problem yelling at people and just saying, you know, if your dog's gonna lunge, you shouldn't have it on a retractable leash because you know your dog's gonna attack somebody. And if they get mad at me, so what? They get mad at me, but they need to learn. That's more on them than you. Like you did everything right. You picked your dog up, and like I would just get out of there. Um, but yeah, that's. But if that does happen again, I would pick up your dog and go the other way. Um, you know, you can also carry like citronella spray and just tell the owner like, if your dog comes 2 feet closer, I'm going to spray them. And it's citronella is not going to hurt them; they're just going to sneeze and they just don't like the smell. But you know, if an owner doesn't have control of their dog, and their dog is, and you're afraid that that dog's going to attack you, then you know you can spray them to get them away from you. And um, I've done that too, where I've carried spray shield with me, and because I walk a couple of aggressive dogs, and if dogs are off leash, and I say this dog's not good with dogs, and if something happens, I'm gonna spray, and they'll usually get control of their dog pretty quick. So yeah, arm yourself with treats and do a treat bomb, or have like spray shield on. Um, and if they yell at you, just say, well, you don't have control of your dogs, and they're on a retractable leash, and they're coming at me aggressively, so I have the right to protect myself and my dog. So yeah, I'm sorry that happened. A lot of times, walking your dog ends up being not fun just because of other people not controlling their dogs. You can get spray shield from Amazon, and there's different kinds. And I am glad um, that you called animal control. I've done that too. With dogs that have come out and like gone after my dogs, I have like zero tolerance for that, so I have called animal control as well. Um, and yeah, if she laughs and drops the leash on purpose, I would spray. If her dogs come at you aggressively, I would spray them with citronelle spray. You can also use like lemon juice and white vinegar, but citronella works too. And spray right for the nose. Go right for the eyes and the nose. It's not going to hurt them, but they're not going to like it. Um, and then every single time that lady does that, I would call animal control, because if they get so many complaints, they'll end up getting a ticket. So yeah, citronella spray. Um, yeah, and if a dog goes after your dog, you absolutely have the right to protect your dog. Um, I used to carry pepper spray, but that can be harmful, so I usually use citronella, but I will sometimes carry pepper just in case, like just in case I really need it. I've only had one incident where I had to break up a dog fight and the citronella did not work, but usually it works. You can get it on Amazon. They have spray shield, which is citronella. They have pepper spray. They have like an air horn, so using using a loud noise to get them to back off. But you don't want to scare your dog as well. Um, so yeah, I'm glad. She should have got more than a warning. Seriously, she doesn't have rabies or anything. Yeah, she should have got a ticket. The spray, you can get it all on Amazon. that's where I get it. And I usually order 2 or 3 at a time just so I have them on hand. And I have the little pouch. Usually what I do is you can get little carriers for them, and then I attach it right to the belt. So I have it right on my hip if I need it, or this little pocket on the side. It'll fit right down in there too, depending on what size you get. But I take it off when I go in certain people's, like if I'm going to somebody's house and they have a puppy, I've had people ask like, do you carry pepper spray? And then I have to explain, yeah, depending on where I'm at. So, because where I go, there's a lot of loose dogs that run up, and I'm trying to work on this dog that's really reactive. So, dogs will run up, and if they can sniff and be fine, great. But if somebody doesn't have control of their dog and it's not on a leash, and they get into it, then I'm going to spray them to break it up. So, yes, and if you use a spray, be aware of the wind. So pepper spray is going to be stronger, but I believe it can be damaging as far as like eyes and membranes and stuff. I'm not 100% sure on that. Seems like I've heard that somewhere, but citronella won't hurt them, but it doesn't deter all dogs. So that's why you want to spray right for the eyes and the nose so that it makes them sneeze. And yeah, and I have used lemon juice and white vinegar before too, and sprayed them like right in the face. So that's a cheaper way that you can probably just do it at home and get a squirt bottle and use that. So yeah, I'm sorry that happened. I hate people like that let their dogs just. They think it's funny that they have aggressive dogs, and then everybody else is terrified, and then it's dogs like that make good dogs afraid, and then they become reactive because they're afraid. So it's stupid. And yes, keep calling animal control because they'll eventually get a ticket. They'll get like a running at large. They can get an aggressive dog ticket, things like that. So. Okay, so it looks like that's all the questions that we have. Oh yeah, so you have to see her every day, and that makes it hard too when they live in your building. But honestly, if she's not going to respect you and your dog, and if she's going to laugh and drop her leash, I wouldn't care. Just let her know. So I'll tell you an experience really quick. I had my Michael Vick dog, who's this black dog. Right there. I was walking her, and this guy had 2 big Great Danes, and they had met before. The dogs had met before, but this time the female ran up, and my dog was like wagging her tail, play bowing, and this dog was like lunging and barking. And I told the guy, I said, "Hey, could you please grab your dog? It looks like your dog's not really wanting to play," and he ignored me. Then his male dog ran up and attacked her. And I started yelling at the guy, and I said, you better grab your dogs. And he did not ask, "Is your dog okay? I'm really sorry." He totally ignored me. And so if he would have like said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, is your dog okay?" I wouldn't have done anything. But the fact that he was a jerk and ignored me, I called animal control, and he got a ticket for $350, and they quarantined his dog for 10 days. And he was really upset because his dog was supposed to have eye surgery, and they're like, "Nope, your dog's getting quarantined." So after that, anytime he would see me on the trails, he would grab his dogs and leash them, because he knew that I was not going to put up with this crap, and that if anything happened, I was going to call animal control. So food for thought. Don't be afraid to do that. So I saw another question: Freedom Harness or Martingale? They're totally different. If you have a dog that slips, it doesn't really pull, but maybe sometimes backs out of a collar or stops walking and can back out of a collar, I would use a martingale. If you have a dog that pulls, the martingale is not going to help with the pulling. So if it's a pulling issue, I would go with the freedom harness because it's a front foot. So yeah, I would do that. So it just depends on the dog. So yes, and Cindy, I get it. My dogs are my babies, and even though I have pit bulls, my dogs are very nice to other dogs, and they greet other dogs, and they're great. So that's my, like, I have no tolerance for, I mean, I'm fine with people's dogs being loose in certain areas as long as they're friendly, but if they come up and attack, then no. That's my kid you're messing with, so you gotta watch out. So anyway, is there a way to call someone other than, let's see if the vaccine is current. I think, well, you'd have to know who their vet is. So you could call the vet to see if the vaccine is current. But animal control should require proof of vaccine. And if they didn't, I would call animal control back and just say, look, I want to pursue this. Is this dog up to date on rabies? Stuff like that, and then put a little bit of pressure on following up. So that's in freedom harness. So Jade has a freedom harness on right now, and you can see that there's no way she can back out. So this is her martingale. So it tightens just enough so that if she were to back up, it's not going to go over her head. This is more of a pulling, so front clip, so if she pulls, it'll just pull her sideways. But as long as it's fitted right, like it goes under her legs right here, there is no way she can pull out of that. So yeah, if it's pulling, then I would go with the freedom harness. So yes, the pet corrector is like compressed air, and there is the dog horn that I mentioned. The only bad thing about that is you want to make sure that you don't scare your own dog, because they can be really loud and you don't want your own dog to be scared. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, so Destiny, with the freedom harness, they can't back out. And they can't back out with martingale either. So a choker, so a choke chain will keep choking. Like it'll keep tightening, and some dogs will keep pulling, and it'll actually choke them and do damage to their trachea. A martingale tightens just enough. It'll only get so tight, and then it doesn't tighten anymore, so it doesn't choke them. It just makes it so they can't back out of it. So while I would never use a choker on a dog because it can really choke them, and some dogs will pull anyway, but a martingale will only tighten as much as it needs to so the dog can't back out, but it's not going to keep choking. So that's the difference. So a martingale is much friendlier, is considered proper equipment for science-based trainers, but a choker is not. So yeah, that's why I use the martingale and I use a freedom harness. So, okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Great questions tonight, and congratulations again to Nicole for being this week's winner. And I will see you guys next week. I'll probably do it from home if you can hear me better, or I'll see what could be up with this. We can always go back to doing the Facebook Live from Facebook. We tried this just so more people could get on, but it usually ends up that I have to block stupid people that ask, ridiculous questions. So we can always go back to trying Facebook Live as well and just see if that works. So, hey everybody, you guys have a great week, and thanks for joining, and I will see you next Wednesday.